Hi there. Last week, having done an overview of the Constitution, we're now going to dig a little deeper and analyze how the Constitution distributes power. And this week's lecture is really kind of in two parts. The first part is going to look at this concept of implied powers, powers that aren't specifically given to Congress but are somehow implied in the Constitution. And this goes back to a huge debate that starts with our framers and goes on to this day with the debates between the Democrats and the Republicans. It really starts off with a debate between Thomas Jefferson and the hip-hop and Alexander Hamilton, who is now, I guess, the coolest guy among our framers, that he has a Broadway musical named after him that he stars in. It's, I guess, coming to San Francisco this spring. But anyway, huge debate over the role of the federal government, how the Constitution should be interpreted. And of course, the final interpreter of all laws, including the Constitution, is the Supreme Court. So ultimately, this will all head into a Supreme Court case that the lecturer will highlight, the famous McCulloch case. So it gave you a first chance of really sort of seeing how the court enters into our system, and really ultimately how we think about things like, can the federal government require us to buy health care? Can the federal government ban marijuana, other drugs? Can the federal government help shape educational policy? And where does the Constitution either say or imply this? And then the second part of the lecture is going to be my presentation rendering of James Madison's Federalist paper number 10, which some of you read last week as part of an extra credit. But I want everyone to have some overview of it. So hopefully, for those who did the extra credit, you'll sort of have a first-hand experience with the text of this document that really, I think more than anything else, explains the deeper kind of values and attitude about government that went behind putting this constitutional structure together. And one of the central concepts in Federalist Paper number 10 is this idea of tyranny of the majority. That it's not just a small group of elites, aristocrats, or kings that can tyrannize, but in a democracy, it's actually the people that can tyrannize over others. The group, by minority or majority, we aren't talking about ethnic groups here, we're just talking about the big group versus the small group. So if you have a group of people, 55%, who want to string up the other 45%, can they do that in a democracy? And how do we stop them from doing that? And that's what our checks and balances are all about. And federalism, this idea of creating this massive country. And the beauty is we are sort of protected from majorities. You know, there can be a lot of people that want to do stuff but find it really, really hard. We all kind of heard that expression, you can't move Washington. Well, that's kind of built into our system, that making change is really hard in our country. While that may protect us from a bunch of coups, it also makes political action really difficult and really frustrating. And that was sort of built into our system. Some people say our system is designed to create apathy, and that in itself is not such a great thing for a democracy. So we'll have to see, and you'll have to think for yourself, do people have too much or too little power? While the constitutional structure may be protecting us from tyranny of the majority, it may be now that we have something else to fear, and that is tyranny of minority. A case where wealthy millionaires and billionaires can overcome obstacles built into the constitutional system and dominate the system and really overcome the will of the people. And that's something we'll be looking at more as we get into money and politics and the special interests. So good luck this week, and talk to you later.